So I'm finally here. I've been dreaming of going to the Reptarium to visit BHB and Brian Barczyk since I don't know when. This is what kind of inspired me to start a channel in the first place. We're just gonna talk about Helen, the no-eyed ball python. So how did this animal come to you in the first place?
Well, actually, we produced it. It hatched out of the egg, obviously didn't have eyes, didn't have eye sockets or anything like that. And it was just so cute. And we thought, it's a great opportunity to kind of show people that disabilities can do well in animals as well, right? The eyes in some species, in particular ball pythons, are probably the least important. Right? Now with the cobra or something like that, eyes are very important, but with the ball python, they don't have very good eye vision anyways, so they're using those other things, so it doesn't seem to inhibit her at all.
And no-eyed snake, we're gonna talk about white alligators, we're gonna talk about two-headed animals, and we're gonna talk about really big animals. Today, we're going over the top 5 animals at Brian Barczyk's The Reptarium. Number 5 favorite animal at Brian Barczyk Zoo, American alligator, albino American alligator. This is the craziest looking animal that I've ever seen, probably the coolest one in the entire zoo, and something that, Brian, you said you whisper sweet nothings to her?
I do. I always talk to her, whisper to her to be calm, and that's why she's so calm.
Is there like a special, please don't bite my face? Is that like one of them? Or?
That's one of them.
Yeah.
That is one of them.
So Brian, tell me something about this animal. How many are there? How big is she going to get? And what's the plan in the future?
So there's about 70 of them in the world, right in that number. She's going to eventually get 8 to 10 foot. She is a girl, so females get 8 to 10 foot. Males can get 10 to 12, even sometimes 13 foot. She's going to get a 20 foot by 12 foot long enclosure that we're building for the expansion. And she'll be with me her whole life.
That is very cool. One of the coolest animals in the entire world. Let's move on to number 4. Coming in at number 4, and one of the coolest animals that I have in my own collection, but not this big, is a boa constrictor. Now this is a Central American boa, and one of the cooler ones because they don't get super big, but this is still a huge animal. I don't know how much she weighs, but if I had to guess, something like 30 or 40 pounds or something like that. Brian, am I close?
About 55 pounds.
55 pounds. Well, there you go. I'm stronger than I thought, right? This is one of the coolest animals, and also a great eater as well, I would imagine. Is that about right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's the cool thing with boas, where with ball pythons and animals like that, sometimes they'll go on hunger strikes. With boas, in my experience anyway, you're not gonna have that issue. Number 3, one of my dream reptiles, an absolute piggy. This is a New Guinea frill dragon. We've seen them from Australia. They're a little bit bigger, a little bit more red. These guys, a little bit smaller, a little bit more common and more affordable, but at the end of the day, it's a big semi or totally arboreal lizard. They've got these really cool things. They'll actually eat Newman if you really entice them. One of the cooler ones because of the fact that it is an insectivore, really easy to get to eat, and as you can see, really darn handleable. Brian, how old is this animal?
He's about 4.5 years old now.
4.5 years old. And this, you said this was the mean one that someone didn't want anymore?
Someone donated us because they said it was too mean to handle.
So I would put it right here just because that's kind of what we do here. I'm not afraid of this thing biting my ear at all. I'm not afraid of it at all. I'm more afraid of my bearded dragon biting my ear. This is one of the coolest animals ever. Frill dragons, absolutely amazing. Australian or New Guinea. And okay, we'll put you back. Number 2, cool. You can't come to Brian Barczyk Zoo and not look at a two-headed snake. This is a two-headed California king snake. Like a regular king snake, except for like 1.5, because it's got 2 different heads in one body. That means that it's got one set of everything, except for it's got 2 brains, 2 different thought processes. Both sides can eat, both sides can see, both sides can smell, and that's something that's very unique amongst these snakes, that normally you don't get them much longer than maybe a few weeks or a few months. As Brian was just telling me, you don't really see these into adulthood very often. And as Brian just said, there's 3 other ones in the entirety of the US and 1 in Europe. This is one of the rarest snakes that you'll ever find, and I'm holding it in my hands right now. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and something I'm never gonna forget.
Let me ask you a question. Is it 1 snake with 2 heads or 2 snakes with one body?
See, that's a great question. I'm gonna say that it's definitely it's 2 snakes with 1 body. That's what we'll say. Yeah. It's got two different sets of thinkers, two different sets of peepers, right? Two little different blood blows right there. Look at that. And number one, we always ruin a list with an amphibian, but today we're gonna ruin it with a mammal. This is a six-banded armadillo and very fond of my hand. We're best friends now. So Brillo is a very Brillo-y type guy. And Brian,
Brillo, come here, buddy. Come here.
How did you get armadillo? How did that even happen?
You know, it was kind of just a weird thing. A guy locally, well, not too local, about an hour away from me or so, produced these guys, and he called me up, and I wasn't looking for an armadillo, but he was like, hey, I've got this really cool pet that I think would be great for your zoo. Let go, Brillo, you silly monkey. And I was like, I never really thought about an armadillo, but when I saw Brillo, I fell in love with him. He sent me videos of him, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the cutest little thing. And he was only 6 weeks old, so he was about a quarter of this size. And his personality is just so absolutely amazing. And he's really become one of the most favorite animals at the reptile zoo. I mean, literally, people come just for Brillo, and I can understand why, because he's amazing. Come here, bud.
Come here, Brillo. Now, the six-banded armadillos, these ones come from not here in the U.S., but they come from South America.
Yep.
And these guys, what's the diet like on something like this?
So they're omnivores, but they're heavily vegetarian. So they will eat like grubs and stuff like that in the wild, you know, so they're gonna eat some bugs. They're foragers, obviously, but they're gonna eat lots of fruits and vegetables. So in captivity, we give them all kinds of different things like, you know, again, from squash to you know, pumpkin to you name it, but we'll also give them some omnivore diet for like tortoises, right? So they get that little bit, maybe about 2.5 to 3% protein in their diet, and then the rest is gonna be fruits and veggies. And he loves to eat, I mean, you name it, from apples to applesauce to everything. Come on, bud. Come on over, baby. He's just a monster, but he is definitely a cool animal.
This is one of the coolest mammals that I've ever seen. Probably not something that you're going to keep in your own collection, but something that I couldn't come here and not do a little segment about. So, this is Brillo, the six-banded armadillo. And to close it out, just a bonus animal. This is Predita, a cow retic, an animal that comes out with not as many spots, right?
Pure white as a baby, and then get the spots as they get older.
Something that's really interesting, really cool. One of the, well, the longest snake in the entire world.
That's true.
One of the largest snakes in terms of growth, and she's got a nice little, I think it's a rabbit or something. It's like, feels very fuzzy beside my ear here. So there you go. That is Brian Barczyk. That is BHB, that is the Reptarium. I want to say thank you very much for letting me be part of this.
No, this was a great day, dude. I've been following your stuff forever too, so I'm a fan of you, so thank you for coming.
Well, thank you, I really appreciate it. It's because of guys like Brian that YouTubers like me started a channel to begin with. So I want to say thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and follow Brian Barczyk. You probably already are, but if you haven't, what are you doing? And a special thank you, as always, to the Patreon supporters. You guys got to see this video early. You guys got to see a couple really cool things from today, last week, before we posted this video. All for as little as $1 a month. And because we do videos twice a week, that means that I'll see you on Monday.